probably have a few more people trickle in as we go. Happy Friday, everyone, and thanks for joining me today. So today we're going to be doing a session on Google Gemini for Business and exploring what's new there and how to use it. And for those of you who I haven't met before, my name's James Rowe. So I'm excited to explore the Google's next generation AI suite with you today. Just before we get started, for anyone who's new to Circles of AI, so if this is your first time joining us, just give you a little bit of background. So Circles of AI is a community for non-technical business leaders who want to learn about AI and have a better understanding of how to incorporate it into their business or organization. And so our goal is to help leaders to scale up their team's impact, streamline their operations, and then learn how to use AI within their day-to-day operations for workflows and tasks and in a practical and meaningful way. And so we're going to dive into the session here. But before we start, I'm going to share the copy of the presentation so that you can follow along at home if you like. So that's just in the chat there. So that's a full copy of the presentation, and there's some additional resources that are included there as well. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so we are, what we're going to cover today is we have, the focus is going to be around the new Gemini models, which are called Gemini Advanced, and how those are incorporated into the Google Workspace productivity suite. And then specifically, we're going to cover some of how those latest upgrades unify AI across all the different productivity apps. We're going to look at why I see this as a really impactful decision by Google for small and medium-sized businesses who are using the workspace as the Google Workspace as their primary productivity suite, and then why this also offers convenience and ease of use because you have an integrated capability that ties together a lot of these different tools. Okay, so let's just start with well, maybe I'll ask first, how many people on the call currently use Google Workspace? There's either put up your hand or there's like an emoji thing you can use at the bottom to raise hands. Yeah. Okay, so we've got a fair number of people who are using it. So as you know, this is an alternative to the Microsoft ecosystem of productivity tools. And so Google has their own suite. There are some other platforms, and Zoho is one that's kind of on the lower end for productivity suite. But Google is one of the leaders in the space. So what Gemini does is it's now been integrated into the tools, and it's offering advanced text generation, image generation, data analytics, and all the other kind of capabilities that we've been talking about in the Circles of AI community for the last year almost. And but now it's integrated within these tools. And the big thing, like why should you care now? So Google's been integrating these over the last, probably about last year, but the capability has been pretty limited and not very good. The user experience has been iffy, and it's also been an additional add-on that you had to pay extra for. So the big change is in December, Google released their next gen of their Gemini models, which is called Gemini Advanced. Much better capabilities that are on par with the leading LLMs like ChatGPT and Claude. And so this makes a big difference. And the other big change last month was that Google decided that they would add it into their Workspace subscription at no additional cost. And so they've used a different pricing model than Microsoft has, where instead of charging a per user license as an add-on, they're now integrating it where everyone gets access, but they're boosting the base cost of the package by a little bit. So different approach, but now that it's included as part of the base workspace, it's important to understand what you get and how to use it. And then, so today what we're going to do is we're going to explore what each of the apps offers and how Gemini supports that, and how that can fit in with your daily workflows and tasks. And then I'm going to do a short demo of using this with Google Slides. And then I've got some additional resources that you can go into to explore in more detail around guides and tutorials that you can use. Okay, any questions or thoughts before we dive in here? No, okay, let's go. Okay, so as many of you know, if you've used Google, it's got a wide range of different productivity apps. So you've got Gmail for email management, Google Drive for all your file management on the cloud, Google Docs, which is a Microsoft Word alternative, same with Sheets, which is alternative to Microsoft Excel, and Slides, which is an alternative to PowerPoint. And then there's a bunch of others. So this collection is all integrated together into this platform called Workspace. And as long as you have a business starter or higher subscription, you get access to Gemini as part of that integrated suite. So let's start with Gmail. So what Gemini can do for you in Gmail is you can summarize your email threads. So there's a nice integration where you can click a button and it will give you a summary. There's also a pop-up that will start when you start a new email. It will help you to write and draft an email. And it also suggests responses. So it's got a nice integration where it offers some smart prompts to be able to add those things. And then also within the sidebar, you can use the integration with your Google Drive to search for information. So it can integrate with picking up files that you can attach or pull information from to integrate into your email, or also look at your schedule through Google Calendar. So overall, it's quite a nice interface and a pretty minimal learning curve. And it's deeply embedded into your workspace, and then with that synchronization across the other apps. And then in terms of privacy and security, you're protected by Google's overall workspace policies around how they're using your data. So just something to be aware of, as a cloud provider, they do actually access your data. However, they promise they won't use it for anything. So if you're curious, you can dig into the policies there, but just be aware that they do actually look at your files. And as part of that, Gemini also has that access to be able to dig into it. Now, if you trust Google with your data already, this is really not much of a concern because it's still within that ecosystem and doesn't leave. And then in terms of security, you've got the backing of Google's encryption and their enterprise level security aspects. As I mentioned, this is available with no additional cost in Workspace. And then in terms of alternatives that do similar things, obviously Microsoft Outlook would be the main competitor with Copilot, but there's also third-party tools like Superhuman that have done this type of work where they're trying to use a more AI-focused email inbox to help you to simplify and rapidly deal with a busy inbox. So just some other thoughts there on that. So has anyone used or is anyone using Gemini for Gmail? Does anyone want to share their experiences with us?
I have been using it for a while now.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me, Prashant?
Okay.
Your thoughts?
Yeah. So I've been using Gemini, I think, for probably since it launched, and I've been also using NotebookLM in combination with that. Recently, like you earlier said, James, I have seen the packaging change. So I think I was almost forced to change my Workspace price plan because earlier it was available in the price plan I was at, but then it wasn't. I needed to get some, work out of Gemini from my Google Sheets and some of my Google Sites. It did not let me do that. It almost like in a weird way forced me to upgrade and change planning. So that's the part I did not enjoy. But other than that, I think just as a functionality, as a tool, it's pretty good. Like if you can literally use it almost like ChatGPT. You can query documents, you can query information, you can query your own emails, you can query a lot of information, which is really good. And yeah, I mean, I'm just waiting that Excel will become an accepted file format and NotebookLM. And I think the combination of Gemini and NotebookLM will probably, in my opinion, as a suite of applications for small businesses, would perhaps be the best thing. Like they haven't really integrated Excel into it, but yeah, that is probably, from my opinion, just the one missing point. But other than that, it's great. I think it saves me time, saves me effort on a lot of things, helps me research faster, work faster. So yeah, I love it.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. All right. Any other feedback on Gemini for Gmail? No. Okay. Let's go into the next app then. All right. So the next one is Google Docs. And so with Google Docs here, maybe I'll start with asking, is anyone using tools like ChatGPT or Claude for doing drafting documents and writing reports? Yeah. So this is a powerful alternative where you now have this actually embedded within your Google Suite. So you can use the tool to help you to actually generate content within the document, but not just that, you can also generate images. So all your stock imagery and stuff can be generated directly in here. And then also, if you are pulling material from other places, you can drop it in and then highlight it and ask for smart summarization to be able to get bullets or content, so you can interact in an iterative way with the tool. And then also, this is a powerful way if you have a transcript from a meeting or something and you want to quickly get action items or other notes from it, you can drop it into a Google Doc. And then be able to ask Gemini to summarize it. And if you're using Google Meet, so for example, we have the transcript on this meeting here, this will be put into a Google Doc, and then I can just click Gemini and say, please summarize and provide a summary to the meeting, and it will give me that as part of that integration. So again, this is quite a seamless experience for Google users. But there are some minor glitches and stuff that you'll see. It's not 100% yet, but it is definitely quite good. As Prashant mentioned, there's some quirky things. Again, you can integrate this with your calendar and your Drive and Gmail. So there is that sync across. And then in terms of the alternatives, Microsoft Word is the lead. I'll call it the 800-pound gorilla in the space here. I saw a question in the chat here. This question is about IP in Google Docs. Yes. So, well, what's interesting here is, as I mentioned, Google is already looking into your documents. So if you have a document that you've written by hand that has intellectual property in it, this is something that they already have as part of their terms of use, that they actually look into your files. So Gemini is an extension of that, but Gemini is within the control of Google. So yes, there are some concerns there. I mean, this is the challenge with all cloud-based providers, is that they do have access to all of the data that you're putting into the cloud. They do look into your files. And as part of that, that's part of their terms of use. So it really comes down to a question of trust, and do you trust that they will use that information ethically and responsibly? So that's just something to as an organization, you're going to have to think about. But given how pervasive cloud-based services, whether it's Microsoft or Google or Amazon, these guys, all of the cloud providers are doing the same kind of stuff. So just be aware of that. Any other questions? Vanessa says, I want to sell my ideas, not have Gemini give them away for free. Yes. So it's an interesting point. Anyone else have thoughts on this? I mean, my perspective is Gemini is here. Google's purpose of using Gemini is not to steal people's ideas, but to help it to, like, they're going to make money from using it to go and have their productivity suite work better for you, and that's their goal. Is but any other thoughts here? Anyone else have concerns in this space? Yes, Carla, go ahead.
Like, I personally wouldn't use it for any sensitive information, but it's very handful if you're not using it for sensitive information. But my question would be like, does it helps with translation too? Like, let us say you're building like a manual, machine manual, and you would need kind of to translate to another language.
Yes, that's a great question. And I believe that it integrates with Google Translate. So the answer is yes. I don't know how great the translation is, so I haven't tried it, but I have read that it does do translations as well.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions about Google Docs before I move on? No? Okay, let's go.
Sure. I really think, I mean, you have to use more of paid services if you really are really concerned about the privacy of the documents. It won't guarantee that they won't be used, but most of the free actually services, I mean, you might not get the full protection. So yeah.
Well, there's the Silicon Valley saying that if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. So that's definitely smart words there, Armin, is that you have to be careful that if you're using these things for free, then they are getting some benefit from what you're doing. Now, the other thing to consider is Google's primary way of making business is advertising. So most likely what they're using in terms of if they're going to access this data, they're using it in an anonymized way to go and inform how to do better targeted targeted advertising. So that's in terms of the way they would consider it within their business use. That would be how I'd expect that they would fit. And to Vanessa, to your point about selling it, to be able to use that information to sell your product. Yeah, if there's a potential that they could use it to compete with you on the advertising space, then I would be quite concerned about putting it on there.
I was thinking like I'm developing intellectual property of my own that they might then go, the AI might itself suggest to somebody else, you know, like.
Right.
But also in the terms of the targeted advertising, I've heard some kind of things about like, oh, when you drive up to an AI operated like drive-through, and it like has any way of knowing you, that suddenly like all the ads will change, and like it becomes quite creepy on that level when I think of like the personal information that might be in a Gemini about my preferences, and then it's like, oh, suddenly I think that I want something, but it's actually I'm being manipulated, you know, that kind of area.
Yeah.
Is also.
Well, I mean, this is the downside of the way that the cloud providers are working. So be aware, Gemini is deeply integrated into the Gmail suite. So every email that you're getting, every calendar item you have, it is understanding what you're doing, whether you're using it or not.
Already.
Like Google's AI runs on all your content.
Fun.
And for example, it's used for their spam filter. So it has to read the email to be able to understand how to filter for spam.
Right.
So now their policy is they're using it for spam, not to go understand and target ads at you. But you know, you have to trust that they're doing that.
Right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other thoughts before we move on? Oh, Jenny says, Workspace starter business starter plan comes with Gemini for Gmail and chat included. Yes, so there is some difference between the different levels of Workspace for business. So starter has just basics with Gmail and chat, and then the standard, which is the one that I use, is where you get integrations with some of the other productivity apps. So you just need to decide what level that you want. Yeah. So Trish says, check my own plan. He's only got email. And Kaylee, privacy protection on Microsoft Word. Yeah, Microsoft Word, I don't know the specifics of the privacy policy there, but every one of the apps you can go into the help section and actually look at their terms of use and their privacy policy and go and look at how it's using your data. And this is a tip that I really like. You can take that policy, instead of actually reading it all, you can go and put it into one of these AI tools and ask it to tell you what their ability to use your data is, and it will help you summarize it. So that can be a way to kind of quickly check what it's doing with your data. Yes, Corey.
Sorry, I meant to put a thumbs up. That was a great way to go through a lot of legal jargon, we will say. So thanks for the tip.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the next app then. All right. So the next one is Google Slides. This one is hit and miss. I'm going to demo this, and so you can kind of see how it works. But the capabilities that exist here are, it can help you generate slides, but the constraint is that it can only do one slide at a time, which doesn't, I create a lot of slides. In fact, I did that for the presentation today. I like to work through creating an outline first, and then I use a tool called Gamma AI that helps me draft the full set of slides based on the outline. That's not possible right now with Google Slides. So for my workflow, it doesn't quite work. But if you're working with an existing template and you're just changing individual slides, this can be quite effective. So it can help you generate those slides, given a prompt and some direction around the kind of content you want there. It can also help you with writing and rewriting if you're changing the content on an existing slide. And one of the things that I really like is the ability to bring images in directly to generate them. So this is a nice alternative to stock images or trying to go find things, because frankly, that's my bugaboo, is trying to find all the nice looking images in the slides. This is just very time consuming. So this is a nice integration. And then the other thing that's nice is it's really helpful for helping you build your objectives for your slide deck, as well as your key takeaways. So you can build your content and then ask it to summarize either for the front part, for the introduction, or as the final summary. And it's quite effective for that. In terms of the functionality, like I said, it's fairly limited in exactly how it can help you build the presentation from the ground up. But again, it's deeply integrated into the Google Workspace. So you can do things like bring in a document into the conversation and say, create a slide based on this document, like summarize this document and build a slide for that. And then in terms of alternatives, as I mentioned, Gamma is one that I use a lot. Beautiful AI is another third party. And then of course, there's the market leader, which is PowerPoint. And so it's, this can be quite useful, but is a bit hit and miss depending on how you build your presentations. Does anyone have experience with using Gemini for building slides? No, I guess this is a new one. Good. Well, the demo will go well then. All right, let's go on to the next app, and that's Google Sheets. So the integration with Google Sheets is quite interesting, and Prashant, I'd like to get your feedback on this in just a minute after I finish kind of talking about the key highlights here. But some of the neat things that you can do with this are it helps to suggest the ability to create new tables or charts based on the data, or you can also ask it to create a template for a table as a starting point that you can fill in. So there's some examples I've seen in the tutorials where you can do things like create a budget or create a task planning spreadsheet. And it will help to kind of give you standard kind of drop downs and the right categories for filling in the information. So it can really help with that. And then same thing with the charts, is you can highlight the data and then ask it to make you a chart, and either recommend a chart type based on the data, or ask for specific types of charts for visualization. So it's quite helpful there. It also helps with assisting with building formulas. So you can ask in natural language for some support to build those formulas in there. There's a bit hit and miss, because you have to kind of structure the language just in a way that it understands, but it is make it easier than having to go and like do the detailed mathematical formulas and understand exactly what the different parameters are and stuff for the formulas. And then in terms of managing your data, you can use it to help with cleanup, removing duplicate entries, or finding gaps or missing data, and then also how to ask it to do summaries of your large data sets and then help to pull out insights from that. So overall, it's fairly intuitive, and there's prompts such as like help me organize that can help with that. But there's sometimes you might have to do a manual refresh where it'll get stuck. And then in terms of alternatives, Microsoft Excel is kind of the go-to, and where a lot of people are using it. The nice thing with Google Sheets is that you can bring in an Excel file, and it will operate on Excel within its native format, if you've done that before. Not all of these features are available seamlessly in the Excel format. You may need to switch to convert it to a Google Sheet. So there are some quirks there, but it does allow you to kind of work within the environment of if you're collaborating with somebody who's in the Microsoft ecosystem. And then if you may have heard of Smart Sheets, it's another smart spreadsheet that's got AI integrations in that. So has anyone tried out the Gemini capabilities for Excel that wants to share their experience? Prashant, you had mentioned that you had some work that you were doing with Excel.
Yeah, so when you use Gemini within Google Sheets, I think it is interesting for some very basic work. I used it mostly not for creation, but for querying information. So that way it was pretty intuitive. When I have used complex workbooks which have multiple sheets attached, I don't think it works really well between formulas. And if you're trying to reference data between sheets, it's not that great. For that, you have to switch back to the traditional Excel to be able to do data referencing and to be able to read through data. But I think the one thing that I have really liked about it is just the querying part. You can query a lot of information intuitively, and it will read through the information and give you a relevant answer. It may not specifically give you which cell did it pick up to give an answer, but it will basically give you, like, it will speak with you. It will have a conversation with you and give you understanding of if there's some particular insight you're looking for within the sheets. So that is definitely helpful.
Great. Does anyone else have experience with this that would like to share? Okay. Anyone have questions about using this that we can answer here as well?
Yeah, quick. So I don't have it integrated. I've tried apps from the marketplace to try to integrate ChatGPT or prompts in, but they've been really, I don't know, most of them are not really helpful, or they're actually quite complicated to try to use. So I've gone that route. I'm tempted to have a trial of the business plan. I think Google Workspace does let you trial the next plan up. So anybody on the starter like me, to try this out, I think you can test it out for a month, see if it's worth it. And perhaps it could replace my ChatGPT subscription. I don't know, maybe not. But anyways, there was one thing I was trying to do, and I'm not sure if this is very good at it. I was having, I wanted an AI to analyze my timesheet. I have a timesheet that I keep in Google Sheets, right, where I put in the date, I put in what I did for my client, and then every month I produce a report of the campaigns that I ran and like the posts that I, did for my client. And it's a manual process that takes me about, I don't know, 15, 30 minutes to go through my timesheet. And I'm thinking, there has to be an AI to analyze all the notes that I made and create this report for me. When I tried it myself, I took a screenshot of it and I stuck it into ChatGPT. It wasn't very good at it. And I'm wondering if Gemini can do that kind of analysis within Sheets where it analyzes words and also takes words and then correlates it with the amount of time that I kind of put into that row of the work that I did. And then summarizes 10 hours was, dedicated to social media, because for each row of a timesheet, I put in the category, social media or whatever. I haven't found it to be very good with that. It's okay, but a little bit inaccurate.
Yeah, I think that would actually be a good use case for Gemini. It's integrated into here, because like you're describing, if you've already got the categories and the amount of time and a description, it should be able to roll up. Like basically, the report is fairly simple to say, here's the number of hours against this category, and then it can look at the language of all the rows that you put in and summarize that and create a consolidated description that's concise.
I mean, I think maybe it's as good as the notes that I put in, but as a human, I can, and as the one who input the data, I can kind of interpret it myself, my notes. And ChatGPT can actually be fairly good with, poor prompts that I put in or trying to read my mind. But I just found that trying to read my timesheet, it wasn't very good at pulling out the campaign data. You know what I mean? So I'm wondering if a direct view that Gemini into the spreadsheet would be better than a screenshot, I guess.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if the free version of so there you can use Gemini directly at gemini.google.com, and the free version, I can't remember if it allows you to upload a file or not, but if it does, that might be a place to try it. Just upload your Google Sheet or Excel spreadsheet there, and then ask it to summarize it and create a report.
Yeah, does the version of Gemini Chat that comes with our starter let us upload? I haven't tried that yet. I think the last time I tried it was no, but it's been a while.
So there's a bit of a hack. You can there's something called AI Studio that we've talked about in previous sessions. AI Studio is a prompt developer tool. So basically it gives you free access to the different Gemini models. So for sure you can go in and use that for free, and if you use the Gemini 2.0, I think it's called Gemini 2.0 Advanced, that is the equivalent of what's in the workspace. And so you can go upload your file there and try it and run your report and see what it does. If it works there, then that's a good test to see whether it will make sense to upgrade to the later Gemini, or sorry, to the higher workspace.
Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. All right, any other questions? All right, let's move to the next one then. All right, integration with Gemini with your calendar. So this is kind of a fledgling capability that it's I think going to be very powerful, but it's not quite there yet. So the features that Google's working towards is around having Gemini help you manage it's basically an assistant to help you manage your calendar. So it can create events and manage your schedule. So you can use natural language to say, book a meeting at this time with this person. But it doesn't automatically send out invites. And also it doesn't always get the time correct or the length of the meeting. So there's some quirky things that the user experience isn't really that great here. What does work better is around asking it for insights on your calendar. So Jenny, I don't know if your timesheet integrates with your calendar, but this might be another way to look at your reports, is to actually look at your time spent through your calendar. It might be more work than it's worth, but it can be maybe a way to look at that. So it can give you a summary of the schedule, any upcoming meetings for the day. So you can ask, please give me a summary of my day and my meetings that are coming up, or to go and search for key events. It also integrates with your Gmail. So if you're, so in Calendar, you can ask for an email to be sent out, or vice versa. In Gmail, you can ask for an event to be scheduled. And then Gemini is also available cross-platform. So you don't have to do it just on your computer. You can also work on it on your phone or within the Gemini app itself if you're there. So it does have some flexibility from that perspective. And then in terms of alternatives, Microsoft's Outlook calendars, the main one. This can be a replacement for Calendly. There are, I personally have a paid account with Calendly because it's not quite the place where I'm comfortable with it, because it has some quirky aspects to it. And then there's also another tool called Clockwise that can help with overall team scheduling and managing schedules. But I think this is a promising potential place that Gemini will be really helpful, but it's just not quite there yet. Anyone else have any thoughts on Gemini with Calendar? No. Okay. There are some other guides and tutorials at the end of the slide deck that I shared earlier that you can go and offer some tips and tricks for how you can play around with Gemini for Calendar. All right, there's two more apps that are kind of bonus apps that are included with the Workspace, and maybe this is not with the starter. This might be with the standard that I'm on. But NotebookLM, it's called NotebookLM Plus, which is the business use for NotebookLM, which we've talked about NotebookLM in previous sessions. But this is a tool that allows you to upload multiple documents into its context, and then it helps with summarizing across those documents, but also deeply understanding long and complex documents. And then what it's able to do with that is it helps you to create like an executive summary or study guide, or create a podcast from it. And one of the uses for this that's really powerful for small business is this is an excellent tool for putting all your employee onboarding documentation together. So your HR policies, any kind of training materials and other things can be in this place. And then it allows your employees to be able to go and engage with them and ask questions and be able to access that information. So it's a neat kind of multimodal learning environment that can be really powerful. So it's something, if you haven't played around with NotebookLM, I highly recommend it. It's a really neat tool. And again, this is deeply embedded into the Google ecosystem, so you can easily connect with files that are across your Drive and be able to pull in context from other apps. And then it also allows you to easily upload files into it. I'm sure Prashant will point out that there are some limitations with what kind of file types it can handle. One thing it doesn't handle well is spreadsheet data. It doesn't currently import Excel files, and especially like there is a way to bring in that kind of data. If you export it as a CSV, you can bring in tabular data, but it's not really intended for that. So it doesn't work really well from that context. But it's kind of a neat tool. Alternatives here are Microsoft's OneNote, and then Notion is another. Notion can be used in this way. Notion has many other features. And then Evernote is another competitor. Anyone have any thoughts on NotebookLM that they want to share? Questions or experience with it?
Just to clarify, James, it does not support CSV as well.
Mhm.
So you have to convert, if you are trying to use Excel-based tabular data, you have to convert it to a text file. That's one way to currently use it, which is not the best. If you really want to query information from an Excel spreadsheet, the easiest workaround I have found is to print that file, that entire file, into PDF and upload that PDF. It has the capability of querying numerical data through PDF.
Hmm.
But it does not work with a workbook with multiple spreadsheets. It works with like one spreadsheet as one file. So if you have, let's say, 10 columns and 200 rows, try and select that entire area and print that as one-page PDF. Doesn't matter the size, it might be really tiny fonts, but as far as the tool is concerned, it will upload that as one file. And then you have, let's say, a couple more spreadsheets within the same workbook. You will have to individually select that area of data and print them as one file and upload those multiple files and then query them together under one bucket. That works. But cross-referencing of formula and insight might not work, because that I haven't seen it work at all in LM. But it has very good applicability otherwise, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a great point, Prashant. So, I mean, if we step back again, these tools, Gemini is a large language model. So it's primarily focused on understanding text and language. So the tabular data it can understand it, but it's not optimized for that. And especially if you've got complex workbooks where you've got data that relates to each other across complex relationships, NotebookLM is probably not the ideal tool for this. There's other data analysis tools that would be a better fit for that, I think. Yeah.
And just to quickly point out one more thing, which I've seen work really well, is if you have, let's say, tutorial videos, Loom videos, YouTube videos. So one of the things that I have tried is it sort of expedites or sort of speeds up my learning. Like I was trying to learn a particular software, and I'm technology is not my background. I'm a non-tech person, but I'm learning a lot of technologies through tutorials. So when I picked up, I think it was a 1 hour, 40-minute long video on a particular software from YouTube, I was able to upload that video on Notebook and query that video about the specific topics and the specific functionalities I wanted to learn. So I was able to sort of, instead of waiting for like an hour, 45 minutes to, go through the entire video and then pick on those specific, because the transcript wasn't great on YouTube, I was still able to query and learn like 5 features in like 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Yeah, it's really good with being able to like kind of seek out and find the specific topics rather than have to watch linearly through the whole video. Yeah, good, great tip. All right, over to you, Jenny.
Yeah, I'll just like maybe my experience with LM. I thought it was really great.
Jenny, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So I found NotebookLM to be really useful to make sense out of my crazy notes of, I watch lots of educational webinars, and, I run my own business, so I gotta learn everything. And I have like a combination of really rough notes plus screenshots. I'll take lots of screenshots of, people's presentations. And so I have one topic that I did. It was on negotiation. I threw it in there into NotebookLM, and it made a nice table of contents. It took on my notes and just like made really good sense out of it. Table of contents, section breakouts, key points, and it's great to chat with it because, for instance, one area was about fear. And so it doesn't, and then I can ask it, what are steps I can take to address fear? And it goes beyond, I was surprised, it goes beyond the notes that you put in. It's almost like ChatGPT, where it'll start giving you advice from, the world. These are the steps that you can take, right? And you can dive deeper into it and make things actionable if you ask it to. You have to ask it to.
Yeah.
That's just my tip with NotebookLM.
Yeah, great suggestions. All right, good. So we're a little bit tight on time, and I want to make sure we get to the demo here. So Juliana, do you have a quick question?
Yeah, one really quick question. I apologize if this was asked before because I just was able to jump into this now. In terms of NotebookLM, has anybody been able to successfully transport or move everything from Evernote? Have you ever heard of Evernote? And you've got lots of stuff in Evernote. How is it possible to move everything from there to NotebookLM? And would you recommend that? Yeah.
I can say yes. You will have to, it will not do a direct import. You will have to transfer the data from Evernote to either a text file or a Word doc. And the other way to easily do it, just print off your Evernote information into PDF files and upload it. It works.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
All right, great. Okay, I've got one last tool that I'm going to cover. I'm just going to just very briefly mention it. So there is something called Google Vids, which is a video generator that's included in the Workspace, standard level. So this is a way to build AI-generated videos, and it fits in the space similar to like Canva, Loom, and Synthesia in terms of generating AI content, primarily around like an overall presentation and then doing voiceovers and things. I haven't played much with this. There is a tutorial included in the guide, so I encourage you to check that out. But there's some neat capabilities there. Okay, I'm going to quickly move to a demo now of how to use Gemini and Google Slides, and I'm just going to demonstrate a couple of capabilities here, and then we'll leave a couple minutes to have a final discussion and wrap up. Okay, so what we're going to do is I've created a copy of today's presentation, and I'm going to add some prompts here with Gemini. So first off, you'll see there's on the top right corner, there's a Gemini button that allows you to bring in Gemini into the context of the presentation here. And then it gives you some prompts in terms of ideas for what you can do. So it can give you a summary of the content. If you click that, you can also add a summary slide. I apologize if this is quite small on the screen. It might be hard to see, but this button says add a summary slide to this presentation. It can create a slide for this presentation. And you can also get an explanation of things that Gemini can do. So I'm actually going to click on this one first. What can Gemini do for us? So we'll let it think for a second, and it will tell us. So as we covered before, it can help us generate slides and content, refine our content, create some images, etc. So if you ever are stuck for what you can do, you can always go up to these three buttons here and also ask for more suggestions. And then it will pop up with the ideas again. So this is an easy way for it to get a sense of what it does. And this functionality is similar across all the other apps, is you can ask Gemini how it can help you within the context of different apps. So let's start off by creating a new slide. Okay, so I've clicked on the create a new slide, and it's asking me, it says create a slide, and then it says describe a topic relevant to your presentation. So I'm going to be very meta here, and I'm going to ask it to create a slide describing the Gemini capabilities for Google Slides. And so paste that in, and we'll hit enter and see what it does. So it takes a little time. It's not the fastest tool. As I mentioned, it's some of the user experience is a little quirky. So you have to be patient. I find the prompts typically take anywhere from 15 to 30 to 40 seconds to run and come back. So this is, if you're quick with changing content and stuff, it can often be faster to do this directly, or at least start with like building some content and then ask it to refine it for you, just because it can spin for a little while. All right, a little bit longer than I was expecting. So hopefully it will give us something back. If I can't get through this demo with the time we have, there is, in the very last slide of the deck that I sent out, there is a tutorial that goes through the same capabilities and covers how do you use the Gemini for creating slides, for creating images, and also editing content. Unfortunately, it looks like we might have to do that since this doesn't want to cooperate. Well, anyway, while that's thinking, I will just point out a couple other places how this integrates into the tool. So, for example, if we wanted to create an image, you can also go up here into Insert. And then if you choose Image, you can click Help Me Create a New Image. And what this will do then is it will go over to the side here, and you can put in a prompt. So I'm going to try that and see if it will work. On this page, I want to create an image of a tabletop that's covered with guides and tutorials in a hyper-realistic photography style. And I'll make it in the tall orientation. Let's see if this works any better. So again, it thinks, it's going to think for a little bit, and then it will come back and it will give me several options if it works correctly. All right, so here's some options here. And so you can click on them. It'll make it a little bit bigger. And so these are all AI generated images. You can tell because the titles look all garbled. But let's use this one. It doesn't show the text too much. So especially if we make it smaller, there we go. We've got a nice stock image that I can add into the slide. So this is a nice alternative to going out to Adobe or one of the stock image sites, or even using Dolly or Midjourney. You can do this directly in here. Okay. So that's just a quick demo of some of the capabilities. Any questions or comments here? No. Okay. As I mentioned, there's some really good tutorials from YouTube that you can watch for each of the different apps to explore what's possible. All right. So just wrapping up then. So in terms of the big picture here, the key takeaway that I want you to leave the session with is that Gemini Advanced offers an all-in-one AI toolkit that integrates across your whole productivity suite within Google Workspace. And so this is a cost-effective way to get access to basic productivity gains using AI within your workspace. And then in terms of the specifics, so it's the next gen of their tools, and these perform much better than Gemini 6 months ago. So if you haven't used it in a while, I highly recommend that you try it again and evaluate it. It integrates across all the different productivity apps, and the core functionality here is, like many of the LLMs, text generation and content generation, image creation, as well as being able to analyze and summarize data. And the main benefits are that unified experience and the cost effectiveness as a core capability within your workspace. All right. So thank you very much, everyone. I've got a few minutes here at the end if there's any other questions and or comments. Looks like Maria had a question there or a comment saying that she's going to try out Gemini with the slides and then see how Google Vid compares with Synthesia. So that sounds good, Maria. So happy to stick around if anyone's got questions or wants to discuss anything. Yes, go ahead.
So I have a paid version of ChatGPT. I use custom GPTs all the time.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering, one, does Gemini that comes with Starter, is it a different version? Does it than the standard and that comes with standard, and does it have custom?
Yes. So within Gemini, there's something called gems,
Mhm.
which are the equivalent to a custom GPT. I believe that it's included with Starter, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Okay.
But if you go to gemini.google.com and then go into your settings, you'll see if Gems is available. It is available in the standard edition. I still have a paid ChatGPT account because I also use custom GPTs, and I've got about 70 of them that I've built and I use across all sorts of different scenarios. The gems can offer the same capability in terms of like reusable prompts, but what it doesn't do is you can't bring it into the context of conversation using the @ sign. So in ChatGPT, you can say @ and then you can put your custom GPT you want to bring in. That doesn't work in Gems. You have to actually start a conversation with Gems and then kind of have it all go all the way through. So it means cutting and pasting information between different conversations, which is not as nice a user experience, but hopefully they'll add that in the future because I think that's an important feature.
I didn't even know it had that. I didn't know you could do that in ChatGPT. You add
really?
a custom GPT. I just go into the custom GPT and then.
So in a conversation, you can bring any of your custom GPTs into that context by typing @ and then it will bring up a prompt or a little window and it asks you which one you want to bring in.
You can bring in multiple?
You can bring them in one at a time, but you can switch them.
Oh, okay. So have you found the need to keep ChatGPT in addition to having this integrated Gemini?
This is so I use ChatGPT because it's the one I'm actually most comfortable with. So I'm started to kind of experiment with Gemini around the edges when it's integrated into the tools. So I use it quite a bit with like drafting emails because it's a pain to kind of go into ChatGPT and copy and paste over. But when I'm doing kind of core work, I stay in ChatGPT because I know the nuances of it. I've used it enough that I'm very comfortable there. And Gemini has a slightly different way of working, and it just changes my workflows enough that I'm not comfortable doing that yet, even though it's free. It's included in my subscription. So this is something that is a kind of a personal preference. There is a change cost. So even though it will save you money, it may not be worth your time to change if you're comfortable with what you're doing and you're not spending that much more.
Do you find that there are shortfalls currently with Gemini that ChatGPT still wins over?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily that it's shortcomings. It's that I am comfortable with I've gotten used to the quirks of how ChatGPT works, and I've learned how to adapt to it. And Gemini is different enough with some of the ways that I work. Because, for example, if I'm creating the presentation, I'll talk about my workflow. Is I will start with a brainstorming of the outline for the outline of the course or the session. Then I will build that content, and then I will take that outline and then I'll go do research with it, and I'll go through kind of several iterations. And I use different conversations and different ChatGPT models. I'll use like O3 Mini to do the search and the research. Sorry, the research for the outline. And then I'll go into 4.0 because it helps me to structure the session content better. And then I'll switch back to, create a presentation outline. So I'll switch between the models. Anyway, probably too much information, but Gemini doesn't allow me to kind of have that fine-grained control over the model choice. And so it doesn't necessarily give me exactly what I'm looking for.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Great question, though, Jenny. Anyone else have any questions that or comments? Clara or Tabu?
I am good, but the presentation, as always, has been great.
Okay,
Thank
great,
you.
thank you. Yeah, thanks. How about you, Michael? Did you have anything that you wanted to ask?
Good as always, James. You don't leave really a lot of questions, and that's because I haven't thought through too much. But I really do appreciate you walking us through this. I am using the paid version, the plus version of Google Workspace, and I'm realizing after this, I'm probably not using it to its full effect, and I'm going to go and try some of those techniques and tools that you demonstrated today, and see for myself where the value might be added to my workflow.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny is that as part of building this session, there's a whole bunch of things I didn't realize were there.
You got to try the things to know it, right?
Exactly.
It's the way it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I guess the Workspace starter plan comes with the non-plus version of Google LM, and then the standard is what it includes the plus version of Notebook LM. Do you know, like right off the bat, like is there a certain feature that's in plus that's not in the normal?
Yeah, I don't actually know the key differences between plus and normal. It did, when I was researching it, it did say something around like better privacy protections in plus.
It's always,
yeah, as well as more usage. So they may restrict the amount of usage. And I don't quite know what that means. It may be like limited number of files that you can upload or certain number of prompts. But it's restricted in some way with that the basic capabilities, and then it's more extensive. Yeah. Again, the guides and tutorials will go deeper into that kind of stuff. Today, I was really just trying to kind of stay at a surface level to just do a survey of what's possible. But I encourage you to go explore and dig in a bit more.